Catholic officials are threatening to sue several former altar boys who claim they had been sexually assaulted while living in the Vatican. The former altar boys have made public accusations against an older seminarian, a teenager studying for priesthood, saying he sexually assaulted them when they lived together at the youth seminary inside the Vatican gardens. The accusations were broadcast on an Italian investigative news program, and both the channel and the boys who testified are now being threatened with criminal defamation charges by church lawyers. The former altar boys claim another teenager studying for priesthood sexually assaulted them when they lived together at the youth seminary inside the Vatican gardens. Stock image. The response is indicative of how the allegations of gay sex among altar boys inside the Vatican walls have touched a raw nerve in the Vatican and the Italian Church. The reaction has been particularly acute within a small Catholic association, the Opera Don Folsi, which runs the street. Pius X Presemiare in a palazzo just steps away from where Pope Francis lives. About a dozen boys, some as young as 13, live in the residence and serve as altar boys for papal masses in St. Peter's Basilica. The accusations concern a former seminarian who is now a young priest for the Como Diocese and member of the Don Folsi Association. One ex-student said the seminarian would come into his dorm at night demanding oral sex, starting when he was 13 and continuing until he was 18. The seminarian was a year older and held a position of authority over the other students, reported the ex-student who was identified only as Marco. The victim's roommate, Kamil Jarzembowski, said he witnessed dozens of incidents, first announcing them to seminary officials, and then in writing to cardinals and finally the Pope in 2014. A man who witnessed the attacks say he wrote to Pope Francis to tell him of the sexual assaults. Church officials say internal church investigations were conducted, though initially not interviewing the boys in question, and the claims were determined to be false. The accused seminarian, meanwhile, was ordained a priest earlier this year. None of the accusers continued on to the priesthood. The former students, including another one who reported a groping incident when the seminarian was 20 and he was 15, have gone public with their allegations in a book and series of investigative television reports on the program L'Ai, the Highs. Their testimony prompted the Vatican to announce November 18 that it was reopening an investigation into the case because new elements had emerged. The Vatican said it wanted to shine full light on what really happened. Before the Vatican acted, the Opera Don Folsi lashed out at the ex-students' allegations in a statement on its website, calling them mud, a violent attack on the Church and nothing more than calumny and falsifications. A lawyer representing the Don Folsi Association, Riccardo Roledo Riccardi, wrote to at least one former student that he was preparing a criminal defamation case in Rome's tribunal for the alleged crime committed by the divulgatio of news to the press about alleged acts of sexual assault that allegedly occurred in the seminary. According to the letter dated November